Welcome everyone to the fourth week of the Guardians podcast focused on premium Overwatch content. I'm your host Veritech. First off, the beta is back, so yay to everyone that got invited. Hopefully next week to everyone that didn't get invited. Today is a very special episode. We have a special guest, and we'll get to him in a second. But before we introduce him, I'm joined here by my lovely co-hosts, Old One Eye and Azax. Guys, how is your week going? That first week back with Overwatch. Getting plenty of games in?
Oh, that's all I've been playing, and you know it. It is so good to have the game back. Not to mention, compared to the last time the game was live, it feels a lot more balanced. You're seeing a lot more variety in games. I don't know. I'm just having a lot more fun. We'll get into it, but yeah, I've been playing a ton of Overwatch, obviously.
I might not have been sleeping a lot this week, and I might be playing right now. So I've been playing a lot of Overwatch.
Literally right now.
Right this second. Like I'm dueling screening right now. All right, well that's awesome, guys. And myself, I've also been playing pretty much nonstop, 4, 5, 6 hours a day. But like I said, we have a special guest. Unfortunately, Artemis Howell had some hero stuff she had to take care of because she does manage a team, and her significant other is on a team as well. So, filling in her place from Team EnVyUs, quite arguably the greatest team in the history of Overwatch and the biggest team in the universe, we have their support player, Minstrel. So, Minstrel, what's going on, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Mic unmuted?
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, greatest team in the 1 month competitive history of Overwatch. Definitely.
He wasn't embellishing it at all. Okay,
Yeah.
come on.
Just gotta keep it going for the next, 4 years of competitive life or whatever the game has.
There you go.
But yeah, I play basically exclusively Lucio in the past. I've literally never changed off him in a match as far as I can remember. And my background, I used to play this old Half-Life 1 mod, Natural Selection, and then Team Fortress 2, Super Monday Night Combat, Firefall, and now Overwatch. So a bunch of random, mostly obscure games.
It's sometimes the best way to do it.
For the record, I love the Monday Night Combat series. The first game I played the fuck out of, and I actually really liked Super Monday Night Combat. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I only really played the second one, but it's one of the more similar games to the Overwatch concept, but it failed pretty badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I say you guys are the greatest team. I mean, obviously it's a small sample size, but you go back to available tournament results. You placed second in the Fish Sticks individual #1. First place in the Amazing Tournament, first place in King of Watch #1, first place in Gosu Gamers Overwatch Weekly NA and EU #1. So you kick some tail in Europe. First place in Gosu Gamers Weekly #2, and then the Overwatch Atlantic Invitational before the beta went down. That's what, 6 first places and a second place. Nobody can really beat you. It's like you've dropped five series, I think, in your entire existence. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, in the NA it was always between us and Not Enigma pretty much.
Right.
And actually in the EU tournament that we won, it was us versus Not Enigma in the finals of the European tournament.
Yeah. I mean, the scene will grow, but I mean the fact that you've just been so dominant. I mean, there was another team that One Eye and I had the pleasure of playing against when we were competitive here. The Storm players, not many people have heard of them, but they were Symbiote Gaming and went on to become Tempo Storm. So, I mean, I could definitely sympathize with the teams you demolished in the short competitive scene. But, I mean, that's quite impressive. I mean, you guys got to give yourselves a pat on the back. And watching your matches, you make playing support look like a ton of fun. And I hated playing Mercy, and I hated playing Lucio until I started to pick up pointers on how to play them effectively. And I watched a lot of your gameplay, and it was like, wow, this is a lot of fun. And now you like Azax and One Eye can attest to. I'll gladly hop on Lucio and just wall crawl all over the place. Yeah.
Cinnamon's the Winamon, man. Everybody has a good time.
Right.
He's like the support. Literal support is the class name in Monday Night Combat and Super Monday Night Combat. It's like you're healing the team, but you can also go in for frags and be aggressive and go a flank and get a pick Or a lot of times we'll be in a
Oh, yeah.
fight and I'm like, I'll just try and pressure the Mercy and kill them or force them to res early or any kind of like 200 HP type class that I can actually catch and kill on Lucio. It's probably one of the highest skill ceiling classes in the sense that you have to be able to aim, and plasma type guns are some of the hardest to be consistent with. You've got to know like when to hang back, when to engage, what stance to use, when to boost, when to ult. You got to try and read like, okay, a Reaper's about to drop down on the flank, so I should hit my ult before he kills everyone. So stuff like that.
Definitely,
He's
definitely.
been my favorite support in the entire game. Just as you're saying, I don't like to directly heal like Mercy. I want to be aggressive, and he gives me that power to just heal while being aggressive and making my own plays and making things happen. And I've had a lot of games where you're able to carry as Lucio because he can do so much and just be so strong. I gotta ask though, so you play exclusively Lucio, so how salty when you get skins for anyone but him?
Well, Lucio doesn't have any good skins anyway. They're all just recolors, basically. So,
I did get the white one, so I was like, okay, I got the one that looks decently good.
and they probably didn't add any for him because the master ones are going to have like a custom or different soundtrack. So he's going to have like Bollywood Lucio and like whatever else. Rap
God.
Lucio.
Can you? Oh man, I can only imagine a Bollywood Lucio skin like that. That would probably be my favorite skin in the entire game. Oh man.
I can't imagine. So there's something
Which
I've been wanting to
also-
ask you about.
Go ahead.
Go
it's
ahead,
fine. I
Eli.
was just gonna say that speaking of skins, besides the recolors, I've been absolutely blown away with the quality of the skins they've been putting in the game. Like the non-recolors
Oh,
look
yeah.
awesome. Like anytime you see them, you're just like, look at that! It's so fancy! Like, especially like I didn't think they were gonna be able to do anything with like Zenata or anything like that, and just it's great. I mean, I've gotten 3 recolors so far because thus is life. But one day I'll get one of those real skins. That's the dream.
I like that Zenyatta, probably one of the characters I saw played the least in the first stage of beta, and he's got some of the coolest skins in the game. Like the Zenyatta is just ridiculously cool.
Doesn't he have another master skin? Forget what
Yeah,
it
he's
is.
got a bird raw skin.
Yeah,
like
it's an
an-
Egyptian
know.
raw skin. Yeah, I like it because he's got bird feet. If you're
Oh,
gonna give
yeah,
him bird
like the
face, he's got to have
dog
bird feet, and I'm glad that they included that detail. That's big for me.
I logged in and I was just like blown away by the amount of content they put in the game cosmetically, just the skins and the highlight intros and sprays, victory poses, just all these cool things they've added. It's so good.
I mean, it's insane. I know that there was a lot of posturing around the community about what exactly are there going to be cosmetics. Is it going to be like, everyone's best betting on like weapon skins and things like that, and it's everything. It's not just like character skins or anything like that. It's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I think, without even really realizing it, the first box I ever got leveling up from level 1 to level 2, I got the leather Soldier 76 skin, and I'm like, oh, look, hey, cool, hey, sweet, equip. And then I went into a game and played with him, and this guy's like, holy crap, what skin is that? I'm like, I'm playing the Soldier, like, what are you, a retard? I'm on Soldier 76, and at the end of the game after we won, I looked, and I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, no, that's different. That's kind of cool.
I think the rarest thing I've gotten so far is the highlight intro or the victory pose for Tracer, where she's sitting on the ground with her glasses off.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's her rarest victory pose or whatever, and she looks so derp in it. I love it. It's great. I love all the non-serious ones that they have.
Yeah.
Anything that's more non-serious, I think, is great as far as cosmetics are concerned.
Yeah.
Love everything on Roadhog. Oh my god, it's all so good.
I love how every female character has a victory pose with their asses to the camera. It's great.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
good job.
stereotypical.
Dude, the Diva bubblegum. Oh man, that heated up Twitter, man. People were not ready for that. Oh god.
Well, I mean, since we have him here, Azax, you said you had something else that you wanted to ask him. I mean,
There was something I want to know if you saw. There was a post on Reddit that was probably the post of the week for me. I'm pretty sure it was a troll post, but the way it basically went was like, EnVyUs needs to disband and apologize to the community because they're creating teams before everyone has access to the beta, and they need to, when the game actually goes open beta, they need to have community tryouts for everyone. And just like I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. It might be a troll, but some of those people could actually be serious. I mean, the common thing you see on Reddit is that it's like, oh, there's no one notable in beta. There are no good players in beta. I guess because they only know like current CS:GO players.
Yeah,
If you've like followed the competitive FPS scene outside of CS at all for like the past 10 years, there's like loads of notable players. There's basically like all the top Quake players are in the beta in a EU. You've got like Sturmy, Dahang, Wins, Cypher, Avec, Cooler, all these different people who are like top competitive Quake players going back a decade. Then you've got like various TF2 players, obviously the whole Not Enigma guys, and then there's some in the EU scene, and there's more joining NA. There's like Tribes guys. The former Fnatic was actually their Battlefield team. But basically, it's like just because it's a closed beta doesn't mean there are zero good players and there's
Yeah.
no competition. It's actually like probably more competitive than basically every FPS scene aside from like CS and TF2, even though it's in like a tiny closed beta.
Well, I see a lot of betas these days have competitive scenes out the gate, and companies trying to encourage this. I think Paladins was trying to do that as well. It's just like you can't like blame an organization for wanting to get involved with the game early on. You can't blame them for picking up players who are notably good in every other tournament in the first beta wave, and then just like you need to immediately disband. Just like that's not how this works. If you want to, if you get in the, if you get into Overwatch eventually and you're good enough to get on a pro team, you can do it at that time. But expecting
Well,
a
it's
team to
anyone
do
who's
it.
on a pro team or getting picked up at this point in the game is people who have proven competitive success in past titles.
Yeah,
So
I mean, maybe it's not fair to them in the same sense, but this I think it's just people being overly salty about Overwatch and not getting in. It's good for the game to have a pro scene already, and for big companies to get involved this early, it's really good and helps legitimize the game a bit. Sorry, my throat's dead.
Well, it's also it's kind of dumb to assume that Overwatch isn't going to be, in some sense, a competitive success. Just because we're talking about Blizzard. Blizzard has lots of good supports with their titles as esports. Like, I mean, look at how they're running Heroes of the Storm right now, how they're running StarCraft, how they're doing PvP and WoW. Like, Blizzard knows what they're doing, and with the amount of money that they're putting in, there's going to be something here. So it's not strange for me to think that organizations want to get in early when the getting's good, you know? Put your
and they
flag
also
down there.
acquired MLG.
Yep, that's a
Yeah,
huge
which is
thing.
also a huge part of it. Yeah, that's gigantic.
Well, and you can already see the benefits. They're streaming on YouTube Gaming pretty much nightly now. The Call of Duty Pro League, and that's kind of they're using that as they're like testing the waters with MLG. That's kind of their first thing, and it's nothing like super huge, but I mean it's pulling in a couple thousand viewers every night on the EU side. I mean, having MLG at their disposal, so now they can push out Activision and Blizzard stuff. I mean, it's going to be huge, and I think Call of Duty is going to start that. But Overwatch is really, I mean, there's such hype behind the game. It's only a matter of time, I think, until it overtakes it because it's. The characters have backstories. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to get this shotgun with the gold skin or the diamond skin, and we're going to go play, and oh, we need to camp this spot. It's like, well, I care about Diva and her backstory. I care about, like, you can react or relate to these characters. So what you just said about MLG, that's massive for the game, I think.
While COD is pretty much a console exclusive esport at the moment, there's basically zero scene on the PC. On the PC FPS scene, you basically have like CS:GO, and then like miles behind it, you had TF2. But I think the largest ever prize pool in TF2 was like 27K or something like that. Even that sounds high to me. But basically, everyone who is not a competitive CS player on PC has been waiting for Overwatch. So you have all the different FPS scenes which are coming to play competitive here.
Yeah, for sure. Someone in YouTube said, "What about the next Unreal tournament? Any thoughts on that taking the market?" And I don't really follow the Unreal scene. I know that UT4 is. It was discussed today in my inner circle of streaming friends. I don't really know if there's any competition with that. I mean, that's just, you know,
Well,
I
the
don't know.
whole arena shooter genre, like Quake, Painkiller, Reflex, UT, that's been on life support for years now. Part of the problem is there's like a massive skill gap between beginners and like pros. If you take some new person and you put them against like an average player, they'll get crushed like 57 to -4. So it's not the most casual friendly of game modes. And it's also one-on-one generally in competitive, so you can't have any excuses when you lose. Can't blame your bad teammates.
Come on, team! I can't carry this. What the fuck?
Team, hello, team. Wait. Oh crap! It's just my
Oh,
fault.
it's lag.
It was lag. Yeah, my ping was high. Well, hey, my question was a little trolly because I'm all about like that production value. I'm all about that showmanship. You gonna put out a video? Cause Seagull kind of set the bar on how to kind of show off on Lucio. Like he kind of put the ball in your court. You gonna show him up, or are we gonna expect to see something from Minstrel with his amazing Lucio plays?
Well, I mean, it's a pub video he made, and like realistically, you're not gonna ever try to do that or get a situation to do that in a competitive match.
Yeah.
Problem is, like, lots of what is good Lucio play is not fancy. It's more like standing in the right position so you don't get Reinhardt ulted, or you predict that Fair's about to jump over the wall and ult, so you pre-ult, and then you just headshot him while he's shooting the barrage. So it's not like, mostly it's not very mechanically fancy. The most you might do is like go around the flank on a wall and get like one pick while your team's pushing from the front, but you're not going to be like doing crazy wall jumps around and like killing 3 people on a flank 99% of the time in like an even skill game.
Well, all right. I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to wait for that where it matters most in tournaments in the competitive scene, which I obviously really enjoy watching. I just figured I'd throw it out there because I mean, Seagull kind of showed what Lucio can do when you're just jerking around and having fun. But
Spider-Man Lucio.
Spider-Man Lucio, yeah.
Viable confirmed.
Yep. Well, all
Never
right.
use the wall ride
No.
in actual combat, as in like riding along and shooting, because you're just in a straight line. It's too easy for people to hit you. You might use it like point blank. They're standing right next to you. You jump off the wall over their head to kind of juke them. So you're like straight above, try and hop over, shoot down. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
a lot
gotcha.
of the replays I watched, the only times it was used was to like quickly reposition around like a payload or something like that. Otherwise, it's just nope, just on the floor, just making sure you're middle, just managing your AOE's.
Yeah.
Not getting hit by tanks.
Yeah, I mean, in my limited experience, my limited Overwatch abilities, I can say right now, I always make jokes about, oh, I'm not a good Lucio player because I'm not wall riding enough. But I don't think when you're in the heat of a battle, you're thinking about, well, I'm going to be flashy. I need to go in a straight line. Like, you're juking, you're moving out, in and out of the way. Because as Lucio, I mean, if they focus you, your team's kind of done. So, it's not really about style. It's more about skill. And even I can understand that and appreciate that. So, definitely you play Lucio to an incredibly high level, and it's fun to watch you play in these competitive events. And so hopefully we'll continue to see it for a long time.
And hopefully they'll add some new healers soon, so you can have a little bit more diversity. That's the number one thing I want in the world. More
well,
healers.
I mean, there's really only one pure healer, and that's Mercy. Like
Yeah.
Lucio, and without using your boost, you basically have no heals. So you can get like one significant heal, what is it, like every 12 seconds or something on Lucio, and that's it.
So you're basically just off damage, off support, basically.
He's like all around utility. We started using him because when the initial Mercy, where it was a 50% boost, it was just the more I can keep the rest of the team topped up, the more you can like damage boost Tailspin on Pharah or Matt on Sniper, and they'll just kill everyone while I keep the rest of people alive.
Yeah, it makes good sense. I mean, just allowing the Mercy to not have to focus heal the entire time. And, she still gets her reses off and keeps everyone alive. It's definitely a nasty combination. I've been doing a lot of games on Control, and it's always Lucio Mercy, and it gets really nasty how just no one dies or just instantly gets rezzed, and then it's good fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, if we don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of the show. Overwatch has been up now for 3 days, 4 days if you count today and Tuesday together. There's been some changes. There's been some tweaks, some balance changes, and obviously the accompanying patch notes. There's a lot in them, and we can go ahead and start covering them. But I mean, definitely the game again, like it was before the beta went down, it still feels pretty balanced. I mean, no character feels like, oh my god, we got to play 6 of these because we can just steamroll everybody. There's definite balance in the game, and so we can just start going over the patch notes.
All right. I will say one thing though. I went up against 6 Reinhardts the other day. That felt a bit overpowered. That was insane. I got in a match and 8 of my friends, 6 of them were on the other team and 2 were on my team. I was just like, oh god, this is not going to go well. And they were all Reinhardt, and it was disgusting.
Oh, was that the Overwatch, the overtime Li Jing where both teams were at 99%?
No, that was completely different.
Oh, was it? No, okay.
All right. So yeah, the first thing I want to start off talking about, like with the beta and the updated UI, all the new features and things that came to it. We have a completely updated UI and menu system, and we have the play mode, which now offers not only quick play, which is the regular mode we had before, but now you have versus the AI, which is pretty much exactly what you had in Heroes of the Storm. If you don't feel like competing against players or you just want a quick match, you can hit versus the AI and go straight up against all AI team, which is honestly just a face roll. And you don't get as much experience for it, but you still you get some practice and whatnot. It also offers custom games, which the custom games are in there, and they made a lot of changes to custom games. You can ban specific heroes, limit copies of heroes. We did one thing with my friends this week where we had it set to random hero. So you'd pick a hero and then you'd zone in as someone completely different, and every time you died, you'd be a new hero. And I kind of want to see like exhibition tournaments of this because it's really fun and really throws you off. It's just like, oh great, now we have 3 mercies all of a sudden. How do we take the point?
Well, the other thing too that's important about noting all the new features that they put into custom is you can really once again see how hard Blizzard is trying to push a competitive sense here. We see competitive tools added into custom. We see bans, things like that, and it's just it's big to see that in. I remember there was a period of time, it was I think in between Wave 3 and Wave 4 of Heroes of the Storm where they took out custom games, and it was hard to run anything. Scrims were difficult, practice scrims were, it was just tough if you were trying to do anything on the competitive scene. So it's good to see the tools they're putting in. And as far as the all random mode, one of my favorite Dota tournaments is currently running or just finished, and that was the Captain's Draft, which is one of those weird game mode tournaments. And I would absolutely love to see something like that with Overwatch. That would be a great tournament. It's just funny to see professional players have to react to weird rule sets like that. Just how do they handle it? What's going to come up? So that would be a fun little thing to see if it ever did come up.
As far as esports, I like that they added. They have 6 spectator slots now. I know Joshua was really happy about that. So we can make it easier on casters of multiple languages and different observers and whatnot.
Yeah, and you'll be able to switch from like one camera angle to the other to like the over the shoulder general. It'll make the action following it for spectators a lot easier because instead of saying, well, we're going to hijack this one person's view, you can quickly switch because you're going to have 6 possible observers now. So it's really going to be nice. And I also like the fact that with the hero options in the custom game, you can set your roles now, so you can't just have like 5 divas and a Lucio. You can have, no roles. You can have 2 roles per team. You can set the hero selection limit to have, just 1 Lucio in the game, 1 per team. Like it's really going to help, I think, the competitive level, because now they have that tool to really just kind of set their rules, and they're not at the mercy of, well, hopefully we can get matched up, well, hopefully we can get in this chat lobby and kind of, get hooked up together, and then whoever's commentating and whoever's observing will really have a ton of options at their disposal to really take competitive Overwatch to the next level.
Minstrel, how do you?
ESL they've announced the rule set for their upcoming tourneys with a hero limit of 1, so no duplicate heroes
Oh
per
wow.
team. I don't know if that's the best idea, but that's what they've got so far in their rules for their
Yeah.
upcoming EU Cups.
I actually kind of don't like that because I feel like that goes against what Overwatch is supposed to be. I don't want to see full team diva spams like there used to be, but I feel like limiting teams to 1 hero per, or 1 copy of each hero is a bit against the point of Overwatch.
I can
could
kind of
do
see it
two.
going either way, in all honesty. And admittingly, this is just me playing devil's advocate, but it kind of also forces this concept of having to come up with like a flexible team comp. Like you're never gonna have the option of being like, fuck it, we're just gonna spam divas and have 1 Lucio. You know what I mean? You have to like actually come up with fluid team comps if you can't have multiple heroes.
Yeah.
That's
So
fluid.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. It's kind of a hard point to push. You know what I mean? Especially, it seems really restrictive doing it this early in the game's lifespan too. Like not seeing exactly how Blizzard's going to run it and other tournaments are doing it. It's tough. But yeah, you won't be seeing diva spam.
No, that's kind of. How do you feel about that, Minstrel?
I think a limit of 2 would be fine, because it's not like the game gets broken if you run double Winston, double Lucio, etc. So,
Yeah, I think I'd be better with that than just limiting them to 1.
I just don't think you can really make formidable comps having 1 per team. It just there's not enough character diversity, which understandably so. You don't need a ton of characters, but just saying, well, only one team can have a Lucio, 1 team can have a Mercy. Well, it's just I don't know. It's just it. We'll see if it works. I mean, I definitely take the wait and see approach, but it feels a little awkward to me with that format. But it might work out. I don't know.
they're doing you can have the same hero on opposite teams.
Yeah.
If you had it where it's like 1 team gets Mercy and 1 team gets Lucio, it'd be horrible.
Yeah,
that would be near unplayable.
I would cry into my pillow if that
just
happened.
because of how restrictive the hero pool
Yeah,
is right now.
yeah.
Like if they had like 40 heroes, you might be able to get away with it. But there's like on a 20 hero pool with 4 supports, 2 of which are competitively viable. Like,
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to have 40 heroes in a FPS,
Yeah.
because you can't just like, okay, this guy's mathematical maximum DPS is 50. When you have to take into account people's aim, etc., it's way, way harder to balance things.
Yeah. Well, and it definitely will add, some diversity, and it'll kind of make teams get creative, because I know, the standard before on some of the, payload pushing maps is you would typically see something like, a double diva, if you're defending or attacking, and it's like, well, now you can't do that. So, it's definitely going to be interesting. I, for one, I know as a personal thing, whenever I see somebody pick a character in a game, I really have a hard time picking that same character, because it's like, no, you can't have 2. Like, you gotta, no. But that's more of a personal thing for me, so.
Well, I'm definitely interested to see. I'll wait and see how it all forms out, but we do have. Just a little reminder, we do have the Gosu Gamer Weeklies coming up this weekend. I forgot to mention that earlier. It'll be February 13th for EU and February 14th for North America. And are you guys competing in the EU one as well?
No, we're not playing in either, actually, because Raz just moved into his new place today, so he just got a computer, so we haven't been able to scrim it at all yet. But
Oh, okay.
next week, so But yeah, I think we're done playing like NA and EU and then like random extra tournaments because we had 18 hours of tournaments in 3 days before the beta went down. So
Yeah, that's a lot of gameplay. That's a lot of mileage
Oh,
just
yeah.
in that short amount of time. And I could definitely understand. There were times when I was competing in different games where it was like, well, we got one tournament, and the next day we have to do the finals if we make it. Plus, we have to do this other qualifier. It's like this is a lot to take in. So it's definitely good that you guys are taking a minute to kind of regroup because this game is only going to get bigger. The competitive scene is only going to get bigger, and we don't want you guys getting burnt out too quickly.
well, I mean, if they're tourneys for more than $120, then maybe you care. But
There you
not
go.
gonna play
Bigger the prize pool, the
18
bigger the
hours
viewers,
for
right?
$100. Well,
Yeah, for sure, man. Nothing like $20 a person, huh?
Yeah, moving on in the patch notes. There was also, did we go over here the hero gallery and the training mode? Because I know that you like all that stuff. Sean, you're all the UI and all the updates.
Yeah, sorry about that. So to finish that off, we got a hero gallery, which is our new system where we can see all the new unlocks we have for our characters. Because we do have a progression system, which we'll cover in a minute. But you have skins, emotes, victory poses, voice lines, sprays, and highlight intros, all different rarities and whatnot. And it's just a new little gallery that'll show you everything unlocked, and I really enjoy that. We also got another option for training mode, which offers you a tutorial as well as a practice range.
Practice range is really nice too. Like, it's really, I mean, especially because there's no secret about it. I'm a Roadhog main. Like, actually being to feel the exact difference between, hey, that hook landed and didn't. Like, it's really handy on a lot of spells.
Oh yeah. We also have the loot box page where we open up our crates. The social page, which I enjoy. My only qualm with the social page, so you open it up and it shows you all your friends and your groups and invitations and whatnot. But for some reason, it has play Overwatch below your favorites on Battle.net, which I find kind of awkward sometimes. And it's a little weird trying to invite people because they're separated like that. There are new options in the game. Always skip kill cam as we discussed before, and then the kill feed display, which they did add, and I'm really excited that we have a kill feed now, and it looks pretty good. It's not the flashiest, but it does its job and it gets you the information you need. But for some reason, it's toggled off automatically. So if you don't have your kill feed activate, you need to go into your options and turn that on. The commendations have been tweaked after the game, so you only get one card per player, unlike the original beta, and they added different commendations for silver heroes. I know one I think is like souls consumed for Reaper. I've been seeing that a lot more lately, and of course volume sliders. We got that in, so people who wanted the louder music or quieter music will definitely get that. So after that, let's just jump in the progression system because I've already mentioned topics of that today. Level up with experience after each match, and you have a player level. Your player level has an unlimited amount, like the D3 Paragon system. Your levels increase in experience cost until level 23, in which you hit a 22,000 experience plateau, and it'll be like that for every level after there. When you level up, you'll get a crate. This crate can drop 4 items. Drops 4 items of varying rarity from common, rare, epic, and legendary, and it'll be the skins, voiceover lines, emotes, poses, and intros and things that we've already listed before. And I mean, this is my favorite feature of the game right now. I'm addicted. I want more crates. I don't know
It's
what you
really
guys.
rewarding.
I think
too.
we all do.
Like,
Yeah.
the feel of it, like I know it's kind of an interesting point to bring up, but like the tactile feel of actually opening the crate, it's really satisfying. Like you see it open and all the items shoot out of the top, and like it's got a glow depending on what rarity items are in it and stuff like that. It's just really well designed, and the fact that there's so much unlockable content because we do have sprays which are now added in the game, which there's a base set that all the heroes can use that you can lock, and then each character is their own individual ones, and we have unique dialogue emotes and unique emote gestures and highlight intros for when you get play the game and things like that. So I mean, there's tons of content. And besides the fact that there's just this absolute gigantic insurmountable mountain of unlockables that you're never going to get them all. It's never going to happen. I can't imagine it ever happening. It's just they use the same rarity they use in everything, which makes it it's really easy to use. It's kind of like a common trend between all their games, and just common, uncommon, rare, and legendary. Like it's good. It's simple. Blue, purple, orange. It's nice. It's a good system. I am still surprised by how much they have in at this point. Like it feels
When I
just like
saw
a
it,
crazy amount.
I was straight blown away by the amount. And it's not even like the amount; it's the high quality of these items. And just they're so cool. The animations, like Junkrat, where he launches himself into the air and you get close up, him just like exploded in the middle air, and then he shoots a grenade into
Smiling
the
face.
camera. Yeah, the
It's good
smiling
stuff.
face. He shoots the camera. The grenade bops off him into his junk, and just like fuck. It's like they're funny. They're great. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, some people really like Diva's bubblegum.
Yeah, I mean, really like that one. And for those of you who haven't seen it, one of the highlight intros for Diva has her like sprawled out, lying with her hair down across the top of her mech, and she just looks back at the camera and blows a coy little bubblegum bubble. And when people saw it, I mean, just my Twitter feed was nothing but gifs of that for like an hour.
Oh yeah. I mean, to get back on track, these the crates also drop credits, which you also get if you get a duplicate item in a crate. So you can buy these items if you don't have them, if you don't have them unlocked yet. And there is a shop button in the game, so one day you will be able to buy these crates as well. So you'll be able to get more and more.
Yeah, and you can get currency in the crates too, which is nice. And obviously, it shows. Hopefully, when the shop opens up, we'll be able to see how we're able to spend that. And then when you get duplicates from crates, it gives you in-game currency. So it's definitely a good system, and one that people can get excited for even after you hit max level, because you continue to get greats every I believe it's 22,000 experience, until you decide, well, I'm done with Overwatch, which nobody's ever going to decide that. So unlimited crates is a good thing.
As someone who's leveling probably a lot faster than us, Minstrel, what do you think of this progression system?
I think that the sprays are pretty boring, but if they just replaced the sprays and gave you credits instead, prefer that. But all the 1,000 credit skins or legendary, whatever they are, they're all really good. But competitive isn't too concerned with progression systems and cosmetics generally.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have been asking, can we get ways in custom games to disable, being able to see each other's skins, because you just want, I guess, a uniform looks for
I think
characters.
that's already an option.
Oh, it is? All right.
I think.
All I remember now is Josh wanting it so that you guys could disable that in custom games, but then the casters could still see it.
Oh, it's not a player option. It's like a game lobby option.
Okay. After the whole system, we got a new game mode. We got Control, which is King of the Hill inspired. Each map has 3 capture points. In each round, there's 1 capture point. You're competing to fill the meter to 100%. And then after one team fills the meter to 100%, you'll move on to the next capture point of the map. So it's best of 3. And I wanted to get your opinion of this, because I've seen a lot of back and forth. People either really love Control or they really hate it. I think there's some characters that aren't really good at it and some that just really excel at it. But what do you think of Control so far, Minstrel?
I haven't scrimmed it, but so far it seems like, I don't know if it's competitively viable or not. Obviously, there's more fast-paced DM action, and it's all I don't know, it feels like once you get control of the point, you're just camping on a choke, spamming at their spawn doorway, and it's, while you're just if you're contesting the point but they already have it capped, the percentage keeps going up the whole time, which I don't really like.
Yeah.
But
It feels
I
like
don't know,
it
you have to
feels like
scrim
really
it to
fast.
see if it's actually good competitively.
There are some characters that just Reaper, just every time I play him on that game mode, he just destroys, and it definitely does create more of a team deathmatch feel, and a bit weird. I've had games where I'll get to 99% and all of a sudden they take the point at the last second, and before you know it, they're already full. Like their bar is already 99%. It just goes ridiculous. I had a game where there was 2 Winstons, and they would jump on the point, drop the shield and whatnot, and hold that, and then go monkey to knock everyone off. They had a tracer who, for when everyone was dead, she would just teleport in and harass and keep the point captured. And then, as I said before, the Lucio Mercy combo to just res people and keep people healed. It creates a very interesting style of gameplay, and just it feels more team deathmatch of anything else in the game. I enjoy it, but as you said, competitively viable. I'm not entirely sold right now. I want to
It doesn't
see.
feel like there's a lot of strategy involved. It's very meat grindery.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fighting.
Yeah, you just sit on the point, and then the enemy team just has to throw themselves at you and hope they can just like push you off or wipe you. It's just like, yeah. I mean, it's fun, but it definitely, the objective feels a lot muddier than with payload, and it's just jury's still out for me.
We did get 2 maps with it. We got Lijiang Tower, the Chinese metropolis map, and we got Nepal, which is a really nice monastery map. Do you have a preference of either of the new maps yet?
I think the Nepal is more interesting visually and from a map layout perspective too. Like the third point on Nepal is more interesting than like the third point on Chinese Tower, where it's like just it's like a bunch of circles, and you like everyone dives into the server racks and just like shoots each other in the face.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower is a really interesting map. The first point's just like, hey, it's a square room. It's not that exciting. And then I've probably the better point of the three is the second one, where it's like a circle surrounded by this little river, and it's got high walls to block captures from the side, and it creates a really hectic style gameplay. But then you get to the third one, it's just like, here's a circular room with some server racks. Have fun shooting around it. I enjoy it, but just as you said, it doesn't have the best feel. I definitely like Nepal. It has more open points, and visually, I enjoy it a lot more. It's brighter. It's a really pretty map. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I definitely prefer Nepal. I've actually only ever seen Lijiang Tower go 3 games personally one time, and that was
Me too.
yeah, one eye and I were playing in a game yesterday where it went 3 rounds, and we were able to see that internal server room, and it's just like, this is really awkward because like there's a bunch of different obstacles that you have to shoot around, and once you get into the point, it's like someone can hide behind that back server in that corner. In fact, we had a McCree that was just sitting back there, and anytime anybody would come around the corner, he would just unload a 6-shooter into their face, and it's like, this feels so awkward right now. Like, why is there so many like obstacles inside the objective itself? Like, it's like you're playing Ring Around the Rosie with each other. But I definitely prefer Nepal. I like the map layout. I like the aesthetics of it a lot more. It's definitely my preferred map when I'm playing Control.
The second point on Nepal, for some reason, just for me, always works out for me when I'll play Reaper, and it's got a bell in the center, but it's very, very open. So I'm just gonna go in as Reaper and just ult. That's all. It's done.
Yeah, I like playing Junkrat on Control just because it's kind of like you could turtle up with like a certain composition and just start throwing your mine out, and it's just like, man, you can get a double kill, you can get a triple kill if they clump up around the control points. Definitely fun playing. It's like someone like Junkrat.
What characters do you feel like suffer from Control? Like, aren't really good at it? Because I've heard some people say like Widowmaker's probably not the best because a lot of the points are just in tight rooms and whatnot. But Minstrel, what do you think? Who's not that strong in this mode?
It probably depends on the individual layouts of each of the points. So like on Nepal's third point, Roadhog is better because there's like the bottomless pit around the point, and you can like hook people off from the sides, and his ult obviously knocks everyone back. Lucio obviously knocks people off. Like the second point on Nepal, it's got a big, long, open kind of area where you can snipe. So it's probably more dependent on each individual point than the overall mode.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like Tracer might not be good because you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to go flank in the backfield, and it's not good at like standing and tanking and fighting in one spot.
All
I
right.
don't think anyone's especially bad.
I've been having a lot of fun seeing a lot of Winston in the game. It's just like
Yeah.
suddenly he's more viable than not more viable, but played a lot more and more of a threat in this game because he can just knock people off the point and just jump in and drop that shield in the middle of the point. I'm happy to see him like really excelling beyond just being like, "Hey, it's our off tank to go chase down the Widowmaker."
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, now we get to cover some of the patch notes that deal a little bit more both casual and competitive side, and those
Balance
are
changes,
balance
yeah.
changes. Yeah,
Ooh,
I mean
numbers.
to numbers. And some of these, they're going to be very impactful. Even just if you're picking up a game and playing with your friends. I mean, it definitely feels a lot different. With some of the changes to healing and shields and how ultimates build up. If you wanted to start tearing into that a little bit, Azax.
So yeah, I just started off with the balance changes. Some general ones. I mean, ammo will now reload in the middle of the animation, and that's one big one I've wanted to point out because a lot of people were complaining. Uh, when you were reloading, it would do the animation and it wouldn't reload until the very end of it. So a lot of times you get cut off, and now it's a bit more smooth, especially for some of the characters that have longer reload times, like Roadhog. I hate reloading as Roadhog. It takes so long. And now that I know there's that guarantee that's going to be in the middle of the animation, so at the very end of that long animation, it makes him feel a little bit stronger to me. Another small note: enemy team abilities are now more red and clear. Like I know, May's Blizzard's now red, and I was like, okay, thank you. That's a bit more obvious now. The biggest one of these notes that I'm looking at here, you no longer gain ultimate charge from taking damage, and that's one thing I had the biggest issue with in the early stage of the beta, because at certain points you feel punished for shooting your enemy, and definitely I know as Joshua pointed this out, it's like Junkrat automatically feels better now because you're not just he does indirect damage, and you're trying to just apply pressure with your grenades, and now you're not getting punished for that. Your enemies are not gaining ultimate meter from this. I'm not shooting my enemy and not killing him, and then he pops an ultimate because I didn't manage to kill him yet.
I think it feels a lot better too, just generally, because there are a lot of heroes who are not combat direct, and the new ultimate system without just charges over time, and it's a different rate for every hero. Like the best example for me is Symmetra. Like the changes to the way the teleporter functions, I think are a lot stronger because it builds a lot quicker now. So you're gonna get your teleporter up sooner, and it doesn't charge while it's up. Which for me, it felt kind of silly that it did in the first place because lots of times your teleporter would go down and you just immediately place it again. There was no real counterplay once you actually got it going. So I think generally, at least on a lot of the just not in your face characters, it's a lot healthier change.
In your scrims and whatnot, how has that change felt for you, Minstrel?
Well, we haven't scrimmed this new version yet, but the obvious
Oh.
thing is it's a big nerf to Reinhardt, Diva, Winston, because before Reinhardt would get 27% ult charge for basically like taking his full health bar of damage. So if you like just kill him and he gets rezzed and gets killed again, he's got 54% ult just from that. So you would have Reinhardt getting 2 ult in a single team fight before, and now much less frequent. So anyone who built a lot of ult off taking damage is nerfed a lot. So like Diva, Winston, Reinhardt would be the most significant ones, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I remember Reinhardt would just build his ultimate ridiculously fast at certain times, and you're completely right on that. Affecting tanks is something I didn't think about too much, but we'll see how it goes in the future. I know you haven't screamed it, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, Blizzard, they just did this because they didn't want to feel like it would punish you when you were attacking your opponents, and the fact that tanks suffer a bit more for this.
To be fair,
I
though,
will
tanks
say-
also feel really strong and have the entire length of the game. You know what I mean? Like, Reinhardt's always been a huge threat. D.Va's always been super effective in comps. Like, it's a really big nerf to them, but it might not necessarily be completely unwarranted. It makes all the other classes feel healthier because of it.
Reinhardt got the single biggest nerf, but he's probably still going to be pretty much required in comp, or at least still like a very common pick.
Yeah, because I mean, beyond this, like the nerf in that he doesn't gain the charges fast. Just jumping into the hero balance real quick. Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, his ultimate, has the damage has been decreased and the cone width has been decreased, and it's definitely felt like less of a threat lately in my play against Reinhardt. I'm getting him hit by a lot less of them than what I should be, and definitely does feel smaller. So it's a little bit sad for the Great Smasher, but it's just one of those things that we'll see how the balance goes. I want to see how he turns out in competitive play because he does fit such a good niche role with that shield that he'll, as you said, he'll still get play, but he definitely did get nerfed pretty hard. Beyond that, I want to get to everyone's favorite character to talk about, Bastion.
Oh, yeah, just because for those of you who hadn't played since they fixed the patch, there was definitely a little extremely abusable bug that they even hotfixed because it was too much to handle, where if you were in mech form in Bastion and you switched into turret form, you would get your health bar completely refilled. And we'll go into that a little bit more, but they did fix it because it was crazy. The fact that you had like a 300 health pool, you'd get down to like, 60 health, something like that, quick switch into turret and be like, oh, look, it's like 500, 600 health heal, no problem. Like, it was ridiculous for the few days that it was going on.
So Bastion no longer has a shield. So for all the Reinhardts who wanted to charge him and the Roadhogs who wanted to hook him, you can finally do that. What's new about him?
God.
Yeah, I hated that shield as any tank. It took away my ability to deal with him in the ways I wanted to. I had to rely on a backline person. He can now aim though 360 degrees, and it's definitely been fun. Just someone gets behind you, you can just turn around. Instead of having that shield now, you get for like 400 armor, which, as we said, it can be really punishing in the sense that when you're running around in robot form, you can just pop down in a turret and all of a sudden you have 400 armor. So you can be on Bastion, about to kill him, and it's like, oh yeah, there's your armor. Good for you.
And to clarify, you do still keep the armor when you transform into turret mode. The difference is they don't refill your health pool now. Because there was a point in time where, like I said with this patch for a few days, it was doing that, but you keep the health pool. So if you're at like 60 health in mech and you switch to turret, you'll stay at 60 health, but you'll still get the armor pool on top of it.
Blizzard's way to deal with Bastion now is they put an exposed core behind him on his turret mode, and if you attack this exposed core, you deal triple damage to Bastion. So, when he's turning 360 degrees and having 400 armor and pelting with bullets, you're supposed to get behind him. Of course, the entire goal of Bastion changes were to fix the issues Blizzard felt they had of him being overly punishing against new players, but completely unviable competitive. So, looking at these changes and playing the game, how have you felt about Bastion this week, Minstrel?
It's definitely more annoying for a skilled player to play against. It feels like before you could easily just flank him on Lucio or D.Va or whoever and kill him easily. And now, like, solo, you can, like, jump around over his head, like, shooting him as Lucio, but there's no way you're going to win unless they're horrifically bad because they have way more DPS, and you probably have to reload at least twice to kill him on Lucio, unless you can manage to hit the core of a person who's trying to shoot you at the same time.
Yeah. It's like, you shoot him in his core and he takes triple damage, except he can turn 360 degrees, and he's knowing that you're trying to get to his core, so he's going to turn around to shoot you. He definitely feels more punishing. I don't know if, like, just nerfing the amount of armor he has would fix how annoying it is, but it just feels right now that it's too much. is
In
not
terms
very
of
fun.
like 1v1, it seems like he's too strong in a lot of 1v1s. Like, who, okay, he's countered by a Roadhog hook if you can actually get in that position and he's not covered by shields, etc. But
Yeah.
there's like most characters, even if you're like point blank jumping around on him, he's gonna kill you in a one-on-one, even if you hit 100% accuracy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely overpowered. I know there was one game on Payload, one Payload map where we were just absolutely stomping them, and their reaction to that was then they just put 3 Bastions on the field, and it's like there's one on the payload, and then there's 2 overwatching it, and since he can spin 360 degrees, I mean, how do you stop that? I mean, you've got almost half their team just sentryed up. You can't get through it because as soon as you see him, it's like, well, there's the enemy. We're going to kill him. There's the enemy. We're going to kill him. He's definitely very annoying with his 360-degree field of view. I am glad that they did hotfix the health and armor, at least. It makes it a little bit easier to kill him, but still, it's like, come on, dude. There's bullets flying everywhere. How are we supposed to get through this?
Take it to Blizzard to make Bastion stronger.
Personally, I think Bastion's way less annoying than Torbjorn now.
That's definitely somebody we're going to talk to a lot. That's somebody we're going to talk a lot about too. I'm pretty
We can
excited to
just-
go over him.
We can just jump into him now because he's been one of the more played characters this week that I've seen.
Yeah, you see him everywhere. I think in one game I saw 4 between the 2 teams. I was like, what is this? Like,
Yeah, anytime you see defense, it's like, oh, insta-lock Torbjorn. It's like, okay, awesome.
if you thought you were getting away from the world of place of the game where Torbjorn is just dead and getting kills with his turret, you're wrong because that is still existent. And Torbjorn faced a lot of changes, probably more than Bastion himself. Torbjorn, to summarize it up, his turrets as well as himself all do increased damage, but they all got fire rate decreases. The big changes, his scrap maximum increased to 200, as well as the pickup getting reduced from 30 to 20, and his turrets no longer cost scrap to build, and they upgrade faster. So you can just there's armor everywhere now with Torbjorn. His scrap is only dedicated to armor, and they're also easier to see because there's new indicators for this armor. And then when you pop Molten Core, it no longer fills your scrap meter, and it no longer makes your abilities cost 0 scrap. But when you go Molten Core, his ultimate, it automatically upgrades his level 2 turrets to level 3, and they last at level 3 until his Molten Core form is expired. It's just like, holy crap! His turrets are free to build now. How have you felt about this, Minstrel?
Well, I don't like how it seems there's like a 0 MS reaction on the turret shooting. Like, even if you're directly behind them as Tracer, they'll instantly turn around and start hitting you as soon as you come around a corner. And
yeah.
obviously, it's 100% accurate. So, it's like not fun from a competitive standpoint, at least to me, because you're like half the time in pubs, it just devolves into trying to counter the turret and trying to kill the AI. And if there's actual team support, if there's like a Reinhardt shield or like Winston or anyone covering it, it's like super painful to try and take out, and it takes next to no skill to execute. So
Yeah. I mean, with the 0 MS reaction time and just the 100% accuracy, I've died to this turret while using the teleport on Tracer, as you mentioned, with her. It's just it's really punishing. When Tracer teleports, she doesn't disappear off the map. She just moves really fast through it, and it's just like, oh yeah, I died because the 100% accuracy and 0 delay turret destroyed me mid teleport.
For me, it's the range. The range on the turret is
Oh, yeah.
what I think is absolutely absurd about it. Because it's one of those things where, like, if I'm pushing the first point on Hollywood, right? and I'm like rocket jumping on Farah behind the wall to pick out a turret that's like back in the building behind the car, like way back there. You can't even really see it, right? There's no reason that it should instantly lock on and pop me from like a farther range than Widowmaker has. Like, it's absurd. The range on that thing is what gets me, because that's where I feel the lack of counterplay is. Like, the reaction time's absurd. They should put a lock-on delay on it. Most turrets and most first-person shooters have a lock-on delay to, counter that effect. But the range on it's just stupid. It takes pop shots forever. It's so hard to get around.
If you compare it to TF2, the turrets there have a like maximum turning speed, so you can actually jump on top of it as scout and just move around in a circle, and it will never catch up, and you can scattergun it to death and things like that. Or if it's facing the wrong way, when you peek around the corner, you can get off like multiple free shots as it has to rotate around. But it just makes it a lot more fun and fair feeling instead of it's like a 180 aimbot hitting you in the head as soon as you peek.
Yeah, it definitely. It's like this AI is a lot smarter than it should be and a lot stronger than it should be. Do you think they can nerf that and still make Torbjorn competitively viable? Because I don't think he was getting played at all in tournaments, and I don't know if he will in this form. But how do you feel about that?
I mean, Torbjorn got played in pre-game ready room dances, but he didn't actually get used in any actual match time. We had the first tournament today earlier, and they were using Torbjorn all the time on defense. I think that I prefer him not being viable at all than him being viable with the current design, because it's not fun to play.
You build these turrets up at no cost and constantly, and then it's way too strong. They need to adjust it a bit and just make it so so you stop feeling like you're getting punished by this unfallible AI. I do agree. Like, I like Bastion, I like Torbjorn as interesting, unique characters. I don't feel like they're characters I necessarily need played in competitive. I would like to see Torbjorn play competitive, but it needs to be like intuitive and have good counters.
I will say, though, I do like the rest of the changes that they did to him, because besides the fact that it's like super monster Skynet turret, like the fact that now it's rewarding a more active playstyle too. Since his damage is higher and you're putting out more scrap and armor packs, like it feels more active. It feels like an actual character now, not you just like place a turret and AFK somewhere whacking it with a hammer. So I will say those changes I think are very good and very healthy. It's just how strong the turret is right now is a little crazy.
The armor pack thing is a lot. I mean, I never used armor pack back in the old day because I was always using the scrap to build my turrets. So definitely, he gives more utility, and I'm noticing a lot more armor on me these days, and it's working. I'm glad to see Torbjorn having that utility. As far as competitive, though, we'll see how it goes. I want to see some changes. Maybe they'll be like the Heroes of the Storm team and start doing balance changes a bit more frequent, but for now, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the tournaments this weekend, seeing how he plays out. Who else got changed this week? Oh yeah, everyone's favorite late game competitive spammer, D.Va. Blizzard tried to fix this problem where people would just swap the D.Va, and to do this, they changed her defense matrix. They nerfed it in size by 50%, and they made the shape more cylindrical than conical. And also, when her mech dies, it immediately despawns instead of staying for a few seconds and providing her that cover. How have you felt about the new D.Va Minstrel?
Well, she gets her mech back. It seems way slower in pilot form, which was the biggest issue really in competitive, because you just have people constantly diving the cart, and then when the mech died, they basically get it back almost instantly, and you just have to like the highest HP plus they get multiple lives, and they're just like swarming the cart over and over to stall. The defense matrix, I don't think it'll be too big of a difference. I mean, it's like it reduces the angle, so you have to like aim more specifically, but you were already aiming specifically at like, okay, here comes the Pharaoh ult, here comes the Reaper ult. You can't just like look in the general direction and block the whole team anymore. You can also
Yeah.
kind of like, depending on the position, you can sort of slide shots under the defense matrix if you're like a bit below her, you duck, depending exactly on where she's looking, so you can kind of slip in some shots when before you couldn't.
Yeah,
It's
and
definitely something where. Go ahead.
I've definitely noticed that. Even playing Diva is, if you lose your mech, which I'm the most average Overwatch player out there. So when you say if you lose your mech, it's when you do and if it's within 5 seconds. I then feel utterly useless because she has no health outside of her mech. In pilot form, she just melts. I mean, one really good Widowmaker shot, if I'm out in the open and I'm dead. And it definitely really kind of shifted the balance in tank play. Diva's just she's not what she used to be. Someone in Twitch chat says she's trash now, which I wouldn't say she's trash. She's still really cute, but it definitely makes me want to play Reinhardt, Winston, Roadhog more than Diva, which, it's going to be a big change, I think.
The way I've always played her is just not as a main tank, but as like an aggressor, where I have a lot of health and I can get in there and fuck shit up. But I'll use her to knock people around with her flying and to stop ultimates with her defense matrix. And for all intents and purposes, like it's not the nerf to it. Just I mean, you just have to aim a little bit more. It's still good. You can still block a lot of ults with it, and it has such a short cooldown. The sheer ability of what defense matrix can do is still very strong. But yeah, she's not as good, and she's probably not in a great spot. I would like to see her getting her mech back faster for sure when she's in pilot form, but it seems like she's just gonna be like the off tank neutral, which is kind of where I felt like she was before, but she's just not gonna get spammed probably as much anymore. I mean, you're still, as you know, you don't get that mech back, so you're still going to be in pilot form a lot, and that's still a huge risk to have pilot form divas running around that long.
The one thing I noticed with her this patch as opposed to before is, and this might just due to the fact that you are in pilot form so much longer, is how weak pilot form is really got highlighted for me. Like, I don't know if they should necessarily change that, like maybe give her some sort of tool when she is in pilot form, like some sort of spell she can use, who knows. But like pilot form feels incredibly punishing now, as opposed to just a window to play around. But that might just be aimed to stop the mech spam.
Yeah, well, maybe she should stop playing StarCraft and start hitting the gym more. It might help that pilot form.
Her gun is strong, but she's still squishy as hell. I feel like these are the biggest changes to the patch, but just some small ones I want to move on to. Hanzo can turn during his Dragon Strike, which I kind of like, because it always felt like, oh shit, I accidentally popped my Dragon Strike a bit too early, and now my aim's fucked up on it. And also, they fixed his scatter arrow, so it has a fixed spread pattern. And I just want to touch up on this, because how have you guys felt? Because I've never liked his scatter shot too much. It's one of the abilities where I feel the most frustrated, I think, in the game when I died to it, because just like, yeah, I got one shot by that spread arrow. What do you guys think about Hanzo and like the change to him?
I mean, his scatter arrow can still get headshots as far as I know. So basically, it's like a random crit. And I just don't like Hanzo in general because it's a lot of the time it just feels like spamming a corner at head height, or he's just like spamming arrows and it happens to hit someone in the head and then you die in one hit. And it's like if you compare it to TF2, it's the Huntsman or the Luxman as people call it. Basically, you're just like throwing a bunch of arrows at a corner or like a crowd and hoping it hits someone in the head. I don't know if he's had any change in terms of competitive viability, though.
It's definitely something where he, as you said, like the Luxman, just like, yay, I got that headshot off on you, or you go up against the Hanzo and they just happen to get you off as you're trying to kill them with a headshot. It's just like, it doesn't feel good dying to scatter arrow, and to Hanzo in general. I mean, I will say that the dragon's still kind of easy to avoid, and that's fine, even with the change to being able to turn while using it. But as far as competitive viability, I'm not too sure because he
I don't think
just
they're big enough changes to affect him in competitive play. Seems like just quality of life sort of stuff.
I think I still rather have a Widowmaker than a Hanzo because she's just more utility and stronger,
More
especially-
consistent.
More reliable.
Yeah. So just to get to supports for a second, Mercy, her guardian angel can now fly to the souls of dead allies, which I thought was a cool change, but her resurrect now costs less, activates faster, and has a much shorter range. Mercy is one of the characters that's been iterated on a lot in the beta. So I wanted to get your opinion of what you thought of her new resurrect and her current state, Minstrel.
Well, she's got like probably the second biggest nerf just from the res range, so it's going to be way harder to get off like massive team 5-man reses, and you can't hide in the spawn and do it anymore also.
Yeah.
So well, she's clearly weaker, but I think she's probably still going to be required because she's the only true healer. So
she's the only true direct healer, and that resurrect, I mean, it's still useful, but the range nerf is big, but like your example you just pointed out, like her being able to res everyone from spawns, that doesn't feel that great to me. I don't know about you, but just like resing the entire team from her spawn, it doesn't feel it should be that way. So
it was like a dumb mechanic with no real counterplay. Like you'd go into a team fight and you'd kill their Mercy at the start, and then at the end they've already spawned and they like res their whole team from spawn. So
they've been trying to tweak it
was
a lot.
Very unhealthy. So if you notice a lot of these small changes that we're seeing in the patches, it seems like it's tuned for gameplay health. Seems like they're just trying to make things and make there more counterplay and a little more skill. They're trying to make that skill gap a little more defined.
Yeah, and it'll definitely kind of make those Mercy players, even in casual games where it's not as competitive, and obviously the skill level probably isn't going to be that high. But I know, excuse me, I had a game yesterday where this Mercy, 4 of us had gotten wiped in a team fight, and this Mercy flew into the middle of us and rezzed us all because the range was so short, and the Bastion, who was in tank form, just destroyed us after the res. It ended up being play of the game, and it's like, yeah.
I was in that game.
Yeah, you were.
Mercy creating him a free 7-kill streak. Yeah,
it was like, and you saw the Mercy come in the kill cam, and it's like, she can't just res at random times, and it kind of makes the Mercy play smarter, and it kind of makes the team have to really, they can't just YOLO take damage because they know they've got to revive if the Mercy dies. They have to play smarter, and it definitely raises the skill floor by default of anybody who wants to play Mercy, because it can be really, really punishing.
Yeah, and we'll see how. Like as she said, she's the only direct healer, so she's still gonna get played. Her resurrect's still gonna get played. It's just the ability that has seen a lot of tuning, probably most of the tuning in the beta, just trying to get to a point where Blizzard feels like it's effective or it could be canceled or just get iterated on before they put the game to live. The last character I wanted to touch up on this week was Soldier 76. He got a couple of changes to his heavy pulse rifle. Blizzard's trying to make his weapon feel better. So they changed his reticle, and they gave him his spread recovery now begins instantly instead of after a delay. And his spread now has a curve, which makes it more accurate at the start, but then quickly becomes less accurate. So they're trying to give him some better accuracy at long ranges and give some more, encourage more burst firing instead of just full auto. And it comes to a point where I feel like Soldier 76 is really strong right now. Stronger than I remember him being before. They did add long range damage fall off, so that like with the encouraged burst firing, he's still doing like good like longer range damage, but they tried to make it so he's not, a sniper, basically. So they add the long range damage fall off. How do you guys feel about the current state of Soldier 76?
Well, you can do like a 3 round burst, I think, and have basically 100% accuracy forever. Overall, I think he's stronger now. Like, the main problem with him before was that his ult is like very unreliable and difficult to set up in like an competitive environment, especially if you compare it to like Pharah or Reaper, where you press Q and they're like instantly half dead. Whereas with 76, if you run on a flank by yourself and you're like behind 6 of them, you hit Q and they can just all turn around and kill you before you can get a single person half the time. But before we tried using him as kind of a counter to Pharah, and didn't really work. I have to see if with the new changes he's actually effective in that role. But I thought he had a good overall kit before. He just wasn't quite there.
Bear is a character where I remember I was asked Josh, he said he's like, I can give like 5 different counters to Pharah, but I can destroy those counters as well. It's one character that I've always felt the most dislike against, just because I don't like that feeling. It's like I'm trying to escape this Pharah, but her splash damage is just knocking me around and whatnot. And surprisingly, Blizzard didn't change her. The only change they made to her was that she can't regain jetpack fuel on a sloped surface, which is kind of like an exploit at a point. So I guess my last thing I really want to ask you is, how do you feel about Pharah in competitive and just as a character in general?
Well, the reason that Pharah came into the meta was because of the Widowmaker nerf before that. It was like just the Widowmaker would one-shot snipe them out of the sky all the time.
Yeah.
Pharah is probably the best all-around DPS at the moment. I don't know if you should nerf her, though, or you try and bring up some of the other characters. There's nothing like... I mean, maybe they could change the rockets to be more like a direct hit in TF2, where there's basically no splash and you have to go for directs or what. But it's difficult to like tweak her without making her useless.
Completely trash, yeah. I definitely don't like playing against her that much, but I can see the point. Just like, that's the intent of the rocket, is to knock you around a bit and to get the splash damage. So it's something just you have to learn to play against. Of the current meta, that the little bit that you play a bit, who do you feel like benefited most, or like is currently the stronger heroes, and who is currently like the ones you're not going to see in competitive play this weekend?
Well, I mean, obviously Torbjorn and Bastion benefited the most. Like, the biggest hits are to Mercy and Reinhardt, but I think they're still been used in pretty much, well, they had like one best of 7 today, and I think they were still in every single round. So it's just because by the nature, they're like the only 2 like pure tank and pure healer that they're gonna keep getting used, unless there's some big shakeup.
Yeah.
Like, mostly the characters, I think, are not too many big balance changes overall.
Yeah. Just small tweaks to a lot of them. When the patch notes actually came out, I was actually surprised how little balance changes there are. I mean, they focus mostly on Bastion and Torbjorn, and for better or for worse, they're changed and they're a lot different now. So we'll see how that shakes up and when the next balance patching comes up. I do like a lot of the characters' balance states at the moment, and we'll see how it gets played this weekend. I know Farah didn't get any changes, and we didn't see that. I kind of wanted to see something with Zenyatta, but we'll see what happens with that. But overall, the game state feels very good, except for probably Torbjorn and Bastion. The game's back, and it's a healthy, fun experience. They have all the new progression systems and whatnot, and they have the changes to custom. So we're gonna have tournaments this weekend. Just Overwatch is back. I'm excited.
It's nice too, because like I know in my matches, I've been seeing a lot more different heroes. It's not just like Mercy, Lucio, Reinhardt, Pharah. Like you're actually seeing more McCree, you're actually seeing more Reaper. And like I said, this is from a purely casual standpoint,
Yeah.
but it's nice seeing that. You know what I mean? It feels like people are playing the game more instead of just playing the same heroes over and over and over again.
This week I'm definitely gonna be watching the tournaments and trying to see what gets played and how it gets played.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see now that the game's back up. I know that I kind of had a loose no Overwatch policy until I did get into the beta, and I missed one tournament. But since then, I've tried to tune into every single one, and I'm definitely going to be tuning in this weekend, assuming I'm not streaming the game. It's exciting to have it back, and you can stop speculating and you can just start spectating. So it's nice.
So, Minstrel, we want to thank you for being on the podcast and giving us your insight. I know a lot of chat was just like, more Minstrel, and we really appreciate you being here too. You had some good fans. I think even
Yeah.
one
Those
of
are
them brought up
guys
you,
who
Bob.
I like know from like NS1 days back in like 2004, 2005. So
Oh, those long ago days.
Nice, nice.
We really appreciate you coming in during our podcast because we're new and just trying to create a good show. And you and Tailspin and EnVyUs have been in our chat the last few weeks helping out, and it's been really fun. It's been great having you on this episode to discuss the new patch and the new changes and whatnot. We look forward to seeing EnVyUs. I'm not going to stay biased because I want to stay even keeled as a tournament, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if you guys just dominate as you were previously. We got some new blood and new organizations, so it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes up. You guys,
well, there's been like potentially they might change the tournament so it's like EU only or region lock the tournament so
Yeah.
like NA only can play in NA and EU only in EU. So like there's a bunch of new teams in EU. There's like a couple in NA, but not Enigma disbanded, and now it's like two different teams with half new rosters. So have to see how it goes.
That's definitely gonna be interesting, and I do like now that the beta's in the second stage, and we have more teams and whatnot to restrict the regions a bit. We don't need to fill the tournaments with just the same 8 teams anymore. We can get a lot more people in there and get more variety.
Yeah, I think this last wave of invites really brought in more talent. I don't know how big it is. I know a bunch of people I know got in, but then also when you go on the Oversalt forums on Reddit, there's a lot of
Only
people
watch.
only watch Oversalt. However you look at it, depending on if you're in or if you're not. There's a lot of people that still haven't gotten in. But I know that there's talent there, and I hope that people are really hungry. I know in my region of the country, there's a lot of people that were wanting to form teams, that had already formed teams, that were practicing on any platform they could just to get their team communication down, help with their synergy. And I know some of them got into the beta on Tuesday, so they're really looking to form teams and get into scrimming other teams because they're really hungry. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that want in, that want to see this grow, that want to grow the scene themselves. So hopefully starting with tomorrow's tournaments, even if there's just some crappy team that started today or yesterday, they formed, they finally got their first quote unquote scrim in where they consider it a scrim, but they're just playing against 6 randoms. There's nowhere to go but up. And it's unfortunate that not Enigma disbanded, but that just leaves the door open for another team or 2 teams to come in and challenge you guys for your dominance crown. But for now, I mean, we're gonna have fun watching you guys compete. Obviously not this weekend, but in the future. And we wish you nothing but the best.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. So I guess that wraps up the show. We'll go ahead and do our shout outs. We'll start out with you, Minstrel. If there's anybody you need to sponsor or sponsor shout outs or anybody you want to shout out, we'll go ahead and leave that door open for you. The floor is yours.
Well, shout out to Hastro, the owner of Team EnVyUs, for giving us a chance and like helping us out, joining up with the org. And we obviously, got the whole slew of sponsors: DX Racer, Twitch, Scuff, Elgato, Astro, Monster Energy, Alpha Draft. And yeah, gotta get in all those. We
Yeah.
did throw in our random plugs for Monster Energy and Tailspin stream and the like. Like,
Nice.
what's life without the refreshing taste of Monster Energy?
Mm-mm.
Just random
I
comments
just
like
can't
that.
play competitively without that boost in energy and focus.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, definitely, I understand. Being a former competitive player for a couple platforms, you got to get those shoutouts in, but they help you. They help you compete with comfier chairs and more refreshing energy drinks. So, I get that. One Eye, who you got? Who you got to shout out? Where can we
Well,
find you?
Yeah, same things I say pretty much every week. You can go ahead and reach me at Twitter. Once again, I'm going to plug some of my boys over at Multitap. If you're into some of that retro gaming sort of thing, go ahead and check out Import Gaming for the Win or Devious Gaming. That's some good YouTube content. Otherwise, feel free to reach me at Twitter, NA1I, anytime. I'm pretty good about replying and responding to people too, so feel free to reach me anytime.
Right on. Azax, man, you're up.
You can find me at Twitch and Twitter at Azax Gaming, AZAX Gaming. And I won't be streaming probably this much this weekend because I got to study and whatnot. And tonight I'm seeing Deadpool, which you all should be doing tonight. Let's be honest. But yeah, follow me there and check me out there. And thank you everyone who came to the podcast and listens to the podcast on audio.
Right on. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Veritech_. Insert random comment about, the cool one has an extra character and it's an underscore. This is my Twitch channel, Veritech GG. You can find me on YouTube Gaming. I stream 7 days a week. I now stream Overwatch probably 7 days a week for the next few weeks.
You'll be seeing me on there too.
Hey, you'll be see One Eye. Many of those streams, we'll be duo streaming at least. Azax will jump in for every now and then when he's not working or studying, and that channel is Veritech GG. I now have enough subscribers where I can have a custom URL, so obviously I had to go with mine. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can get some more people on the show. Hopefully we can get Tailspin's attention. I want to pick his brain. I watch his stream, and I want to get his input on some of this stuff going forward. But we really appreciate you having on the show. And for One Eye and Azax, I'm your host Veritech. Signing off for now. We will see you next Friday, bright and early. If you wake up in the middle of the afternoon, like most youngsters do, at 5 p.m.
There you go.
5 p.m. Pacific. So we will see you then.
Bye.